What I think is kind of interesting is that sometimes people will encounter me online and think that, well, that's what you do. You have an online ministry, you have a virtual ministry, kind of this internet kind of a thing. And like, yeah, well, that is all flowing out of the ministry we do on campus. So virtually every video I've ever made or every homily I've ever posted, that all comes from a conversation I had with students. This ministry's current Newman Center is an old, and I hate to say it, but dilapidated split-level home that is often overcrowded with students and visitors. As I said, oftentimes students will say, there's no place for me. And yet the transformative work of the Holy Spirit is so evident through the online work that we do. But what isn't obvious is our lack of capacity on campus.
I hear students say, I just thought this was a house at least once a week.
Yeah, so the Newman House, it's just a house, really. So coming into it the first time, it feels like you might be invading on someone's private space, especially Father Mike's private space. So walking up, you're kind of walking on eggshells.
For me, if I wasn't invited here, I probably never would have just walked up to this house and encountered, the Catholic Church in my college years.
My very first time coming to Mass at the chapel here, I actually didn't have a spot in the chapel. The people that don't know anyone and that's their first experience, it could really draw someone away.
The Newman House is great if we don't want to grow. If we don't actually have the mission to reach the entire campus. If our goal is actually to reach the entire campus of UMD and ultimately the whole world with the gospel message, we're just not able to do that here.
Because of this, we have this campaign called Seeds of Faith. And this campaign is focused on 3 areas. The area of welcome, of worship, and of word. Welcome because we want adequate gathering spaces for meetings, events, to welcome, form, and to accompany our students. We also need a space for worship, a space that doesn't just accommodate 50 people, but a space that accommodates 350 people, a space that accommodates maybe 500 people. Remember, every Sunday Mass, we have in the mornings 200 people coming to Mass, in the evenings 500 to 600 people coming to Mass. We need a space for these students, and a beautiful space to worship is what God deserves. And when they walk into the new chapel, what they'll see is God deserves the best. So this new student center and chapel is for welcome and is for worship, but also is for the word. One of the realities is, if you're listening to this, if you're watching this, your life has probably been impacted by the work we've done here on campus in Duluth. In fact, so many people ask the question, why should I support a university in northern Minnesota that I've never even visited? Well, you may have not visited the University of Minnesota Duluth, but the University of Minnesota Duluth Newman Center has visited you. And so part of this new student center will have a space specifically dedicated to produce content, to be able to bring the word more and more, again and again, consistently closer to you. If you've been blessed by what we've done on campus, I ask that you please, out of thanksgiving to God, support our ministry. If you're interested not only in continuing to be blessed, but also blessing others, I invite you to pray about going to bulldogcatholic.org/donate, knowing that every gift of every size helps. I think every time someone writes a check, every time someone gives anything to this, is they're parting with something that they've worked really hard for. But one of the things that we're saying every time we do that, every time we give, is I believe this is worth it. And that the students and faculty and staff on this campus, that they matter. And that enough people believe that they matter and that God matters, that they're willing to create a building, a space, a facility that declares these 2 things. God matters and they matter.